beautiful people. How are you doing today? I am Montgomery, brand attorney, owner of Off the Mark IP Solutions, where I help clients throughout the United States own their genius through trademarks, copyrights, and contracts. Listen, I'm coming to you live today because of a trademark thing. I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago. Kylie Jenner has filed a trademark application for Rise and Shine, and people are like, how in the world can she do that? How can people trademark common phrases? So that's what I want to talk to you all today. Just give you a little bit of insight about that. So, probably about almost a month ago now, just a few days short of a month ago, she filed a trademark application for Rise and Shine after she went viral for singing it to her daughter. So she was on social media. I don't know if it was Twitter or where it was. She was singing Rise and Shine to her daughter. It went viral. She was like, hey, how can I come up on this? Which is what the Kardashians do, right? So she filed a trademark application for Rise and Shine, and everybody went bananas. It's like, oh my goodness, Rise and Shine is so common. Everybody uses it. They can't have it. Yada, yada, yada. This, that, and the other. So I want to talk to you guys about that. And then just recently, someone shared with me that the owner of the trademark Rise and Shine is not happy with this application. So we're just going to talk about that today, okay? So the first thing I want you to remember, and I did a video about this maybe like a couple months ago, and I was telling you guys how to protect your viral hashtag. So when you have something that goes viral, how can you monetize that? What do you need to do? And one of the first things you need to do is to file a trademark application. It doesn't have to say that you're using it now, but you need to file a trademark application for an intent to use and come up with a product or service that you can use that can be benefited from this trademark, from this viral hashtag, right? So I talked about that. And that's essentially what she did. She saw that it was going viral. She saw that it was popular. So she said, what can I do to monetize that? What she did was she filed a trademark application. Her application is a 1B. It says, which a 1B application says, hey, I'm not using this in interstate commerce now, but I plan to do it in the future. And she's doing it for cosmetics. We know she has a cosmetics line. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you're supposed to do. So the next question is, how can she trademark such a common phrase? Rise and shine. Everybody says rise and shine. That's how I wake my own kids up. Rise and shine. And people are like, how can she own that? What you need to know about trademarks is that when you're filing these trademark applications and you're using them in business, you're not preventing the regular public from using or saying that phrase, right? Her application is not going to prevent me from telling my daughter's rise and shine and singing to my daughter's rise and shine. It's not going to do that, right? Your trademark, when you file a trademark, your protection is limited to the areas that you're using it. So she's filing her application for cosmetics, right? There is another application out there for snacks. This cosmetic application won't prevent someone from filing an application for snacks, because they're not in the same or related field. So it is only for business owners. So trademarks, and let me back up for those of you guys who are new to me and you haven't seen any of my videos. Trademarks protect brand identifiers, and those brand identifiers, those are those things that help consumers readily identify the source of a good or a service. Again, identify the source of a good or a service. So if we're not using it to identify the source of a good or a service, then we don't have anything to worry about as lay people. So her trademark application for Rise and Shine won't do anything to us. It won't hurt us in any type of way because we're not business people. Well, I'll take it back. For the people who aren't business people, right? It won't stop you. Now, if you decided that, hey, you know what? I see how popular this is, and now that she has a trademark, I'm going to go ahead and try to benefit from that, and I'm going to have a product, and I'm also going to call it Rise and Shine, or maybe I'm going to do a service. So maybe your service is, maybe you do lashes, or maybe you do makeup, the application of makeup, or something of that nature. So if that's the case, now you have a problem because now you have a service that you're providing, and that service that you're providing, it can be related to this trademark application that Kylie Jenner has provided, has ensured, right? So So that's what I want you to know about trademarks, that it just doesn't stop people from using the word. Like, dictionary is full of words, and they're full of common words. And when it comes to common phrases, as long as you're using it in a way that's not common, then you are okay. So rise and shine. When you think of rise and shine, do you think of cosmetics? You don't, because it's not a connection. You probably think about morning, you probably think about breakfast and things of that nature. But as far as it being related to cosmetics, that's not something that you would automatically think of and associate with. So because she's using it in what we call an arbitrary way, which is an uncommon way, then she would be able to get a trademark application, be able to get her trademark application approved as long as there are no conflicting marks, right? So that's what you need to know. So, I mean, and if you think about it, she's not the first person. We see common words all the time. So the most famous one that I always use is Apple. I always go back to Apple, right? Because Apple is a common word. It's a fruit, right? And someone has a trademark for it. Does that mean that we can't have apples anymore? No, but it does mean that we can't have electronics and sell electronics for using that name. That's exactly what it means. But it doesn't mean that I can't say the word apple. I can't eat apples. I can't sell apples. It doesn't mean any of that. The same thing that when Prince estate went to trademark his the shade of purple that he had created just for him. People were like, "Oh my gosh, how can he trademark? How can he own a color?" He's not owning that color. He's preventing other people from benefiting from his goodwill. Because when you're doing a trademark, when you're filing a trademark, you're not just it's not just this word or this mark or this color that you're trying to protect. You're trying to protect what it stands for. You always go back to, what does that brand stand for? What goodwill does it offer? What connection does it have with the market and consumers? And some people try to benefit from that. Some people say, well, they have such a good reputation. If I can just get a little bit of those customers over this way, then my business will be great. Or some people don't even say, I want a little bit. Some people say, I want all of it. I want all of the customers. I want them to come here instead of there. So they try to confuse the market by using similar branding and similar messaging and similar logos and similar names. So you want to make sure that you're in a position where you can tell people, no, you can't do that, because when you are the owner of a federally registered trademark, you have the ability to prevent other people from not only using that same mark, but also anything similar. That's what I want you guys to know. So that's how she's able to trademark Rise and Shine. Even though we say it every day, it's not going to prevent us from using it every day. Now, what some people have done, they filed letters of protest. And what a letter of protest is when the people in the world, they say, you know what, that's not a good trademark. That right there is something that's common and so commonly used that no one would ever associate that phrase with any type of service or product that she's providing. And that happens. I think that's what happened with LeBron James and his Taco Tuesday. Cardi B, when she wanted to trademark, don't laugh at me, or Kurt, I can't say it. I've been practicing. It's terrible. But when she tried to trademark that, and what happens is you just let the USPT know. You write a letter and you say, hey, you shouldn't be able to trademark. They shouldn't be able to trademark this because of such and such reason. It doesn't have to be a long letter, but when they get so many of those in, they start looking at it and considering it, and then they will issue out an office action, and then the applicant will have to respond and say why they should be able to proceed. Like I said, LeBron James got one for Taco Tuesday. But again, Taco Tuesday, right? He's not selling tacos. He's not in the restaurant or food business. His application was for like podcasting and social media, because that's what he does. He goes on social media and he has Taco Tuesday, and he has the video up, and they're talking about things, right? So he said, well, what can I do? How can I benefit from this? So I create a podcast, and I call that podcast Taco Tuesday. Again, it's an arbitrary use. Arbitrary uses are really strong trademarks, actually. So you have different levels of trademarks. You have generic trademarks, is when it literally is what it is. Toilet paper. You want to call your product toilet paper, and it's literally toilet paper. That's a generic. Descriptive is when it describes a feature of the good or service. And then you have suggestive, where it doesn't just come straight out and describe it, it kind of hints at it. And next you have arbitrary, which makes it a good mark. And then the strongest mark is just something you make up, like Kleenex or Xerox. Those are the strongest marks that you can have. Yeah. So our 3 top takeaways from today and from Kylie Jenner in general, right, is when just be ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So she was ready. She saw what was going on because she knew, she had the mindset to say, you know what, I can benefit from this. People are connected to this, so I can add this into my business that I'm already offering. I'm going to file a trademark application so no one else will do it. Because if she would not have, somebody else would have. Just plain and simple. So if you know that the thing that you need to do to protect yourself and prevent other people from using something that you created and made and caused to make popular, then you already know what to do, right? And you don't have to lose time, because with trademarks, it's in the United States, it's first to use, and if no one's using it, then it can be first to file, because your intent to use the application says, I'm not using it now, but I plan to use it. And when you file that application, it gives you priority over anyone else who might use it after you file this application, right? So that's thing number 1. Number 2 is, again, protect your interests. When you see that this is going on, that is becoming popular, you need to be ready to file your trademark application. You need to be ready to file your trademark application. And it can be an arbitrary word. It can be an arbitrary word, something that's used common, as long as it's not used in a common way. As long as it's not used in a common way, meaning that Taco Tuesday for a food truck might have, especially a food truck that sells tacos, might have a couple of challenges getting registered. But Taco Tuesday for a podcast, personally, I think it's genius, especially when you're not talking about food. So those are 3. Did I give you 3 takeaways? Let's see. First takeaway is stay ready. You need to know and be aware of when you can and cannot file your trademark application, like when to do it and when not to do it, and what kind to file. Number 2 is to actually file the application so that you can have priority, so no one beats you to the punch. And number 3 is that, yes, you can absolutely file trademark applications and get registered for arbitrary marks if they're used in a common words, if they're used in an arbitrary way. All right. Listen, if you need a consultation, like Bernie, you were asking about a consultation, contact my office, LaConyaMurray.com. I would love to talk to you. All right, and let's see what else. Oh, and I talk about this some more. I talk about this some more in my book that's coming out, the Legal Basics Handbook. And if you go to the website, it will be available to purchase soon. I think it'll be available next week. I thought it was going to be this week, but I think it's going to be next week. If you're watching this video on YouTube, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be the first ones to know when we have a new video coming out. And if you're listening to the podcast and the audio version of this, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Make sure you rate the podcast. Let me know what you think. Share it with a friend. And I'll see you next week.